Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com back again for a second dose of news today. This time joined by Sam Driver. How are you?
I'm alright, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm doing
impatient.
Well. Really impatient. You just introduced yourself, you big, horrible person.
Big, horrible boy. Right, let's take a look at all of the headlines. First of all, a major NXT superstar is reportedly dealing with an injury. Next up, Kenny Omega was talking to Tokyo Sports and had some interesting things to say about New Japan's interest in women's wrestling. And finally, sticking with New Japan, a new match has been announced for their joint show with Ring of Honor in Madison Square Garden over WrestleMania weekend. So, first of all, let's talk about NXT because unfortunately, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Tommaso Ciampa is dealing with an injury.
Yeah, this is scary.
Yeah.
This is really, really scary. This is sort of his swan song time, isn't it?
It's the end of his, well, you presume the end of his NXT run, or at least it's coming, because
it's going to come to a close, yeah.
Yeah, well, according to the Observer, he is injured, but we don't know the severity of it yet. It's something he's been working through, though, taking care of it after the Gargano match at TakeOver.
Yeah.
This explains why he wasn't on television this week, on SmackDown, nor was he listed for upcoming weekend NXT dates. He's actually only worked 5 non-TV or major streaming shows on the network so far this year, in 2019, which is a far lighter schedule than most WWE superstars. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't jeopardise these latter stages of his run because it's been a fantastic run from Ciampa.
Yeah.
He could be considered probably maybe the best NXT champion ever. Maybe he's up there.
I'd put it up there, yeah, definitely. I think the way, like just his charisma, the way he handles himself, everything about him, he's great. And also, he was absolutely fine on NXT last night, Jack. I don't know what you're on about.
It's not like it's out of order.
Yeah, it's not like it's been taped months ago.
Now, we know that Ciampa's worked through injuries before. I seem to remember that just before he turned on Gargano, they had that ladder match against AOP.
Yeah.
And I think he was injured during that, but was working through it. And then after that match, he was going to take some time off and get it sorted. Yeah. It seems like this is a similar sort of situation.
But you don't want him to push himself too hard and then worsen the injury. That's the only problem.
I know. And I understand why he wants to approach it this way, though, because probably this run is going to be looked back upon as one of the highlights of his career.
Yeah, and I think there's only going to be a finite amount of time before he has to go up to the main roster, so it's sort of numbered days.
It's a bit of a strange one. But in terms of his current NXT storyline, it looks as though he will be working through it because this week on NXT, it did set up that himself and Gargano are going to be entering the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Yeah,
they are. They're entering Dusty Rhodes Classic, and Johnny's got a plan, though. Johnny's got a plan.
He's the man with the plan.
Yeah, that's somebody else.
So it's very interesting to see. Hopefully, it doesn't hinder him in the ring too much as well, because not only is he a great character, he's a great wrestler as well. He's great.
Do you think it's his knee? Like, he's got that gnarly knee brace.
And that spot on SmackDown recently where himself and Sheamus crashed down.
Nasty.
That kind of helped it. No. Even if it was the other knee, it still looked painful. But you never know. It's just one of those things that seemed like it's just a wrestling injury. It's not as if anyone was being careless. It was just an accident.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, but hopefully he's all right. We do wish him a full and speedy recovery, but we don't know when that recovery process will take place. It might be after the next takeover. It could be sooner. It could be later. We don't know yet. We don't know how severe it actually is. Next up, Kenny Omega, formerly of New Japan, now of All Elite Wrestling, was talking to Tokyo Sports, where he talked about his relationship with New Japan, which led into a discussion about New Japan's perhaps changing attitude towards women's wrestling. So obviously in Japan right now, New Japan is entirely male.
Well, traditionally in Japan, you have male companies and female companies.
But you've also got like Stardom, Sendai Girls, that sort of thing.
So like women have Stardom, Sendai Girls, like their own companies. And if you want to watch women's wrestling, you go and you see a women's show. It's a bit strange.
It's different, certainly. Than
I don't know if it's just a cultural thing, but I don't know if it's because they treat wrestling like a sport and you wouldn't traditionally have men and women compete
in the same league
of like a physical sport. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a bit. Well, it's a bit of a dated thing, isn't it?
This apparently put a bit of a strain on Omega's relationship with New Japan because he said when he had his Daytona Beach show that he booked last year, he wanted women on it and New Japan wouldn't allow it, saying that that's not the New Japan product, that's not the way they do things.
Yeah.
He responded that it's 2019 and he wanted men and women on the same stage, and also it's in the US, so I think one of his arguments would have been as well.
It's more accepted.
Yeah, it's more of a done
People
thing
just
with women's wrestling
it.
on the show. When you contrast that with how All Elite Wrestling are doing things, they seem to be setting themselves up to be like the most progressive promotion in the world right now. They're doing things like the whole sensory thing for the Double or Nothing show to make it more inclusive. They're doing more equal pay for women and that sort of thing. It all seems to appeal to somebody who has the more sort of liberal mindset of Kenny Omega, I presume. He's
actually a massive Republican. No, the thing with New Japan is they booked China when she left WWE, and I get that China was more of a spectacle of watch her beat up men, but like they can't be that adverse to having like to the idea of women's wrestling, but I just don't understand how it's taken this long for it to be really brought up.
Well, that's because he did mention in the interview, that there is an interest, a renewed interest from New Japan in women's wrestling, but it's all been sort of speculated on by various sources, and if they were to start doing women's wrestling, it would be under a different banner.
Like a separate company,
like an offshoot potentially, or something.
So sort of like you think like maybe Women of Honor type,
maybe more like that sort of thing, where it's like they're not on the same cards, but there are women under the umbrella of I guess Bushiroad or New Japan or whatever. But if that were to happen, I don't know if it would be good for the Japanese wrestling scene or bad, because Stardom and Sendai Girls and professionals that have some fantastic wrestlers.
Yeah, and they are, they're slightly smaller companies, and they probably don't have the sort of financial backing that a company like Bushiroad can provide to New Japan. And if New Japan got serious about it, then they're going to be buying up a lot of women.
I felt it compares to kind of like the whole argument on both sides about NXT UK and whether they're going to be harvesting the top talent. Will that help or hinder the other promotions? Will provide a bigger spotlight for those people? What will it do for the scene?
The problem with that is, like, even currently we don't know what that's doing to the UK scene. So I think it's something where it would have to happen, and then everybody would just have to cross their fingers. Because obviously we won't know if there's going to be an effect on, just to go back to the UK scene thing, we won't know if there's an effect on that for maybe a year or two.
Yeah, it's something to look back on,
Yeah, it's something you got to look back on. So if New Japan do decide to go with it, let's hope it doesn't have a negative impact. Let's hope they work with... Because, like, they worked with Noah in the past, they've worked with other companies.
They recently worked with All Japan on the Giant Barbell Memorial show.
They worked with WWE at one point. So, like, it's... I just hope that they'd maybe just start off by putting on like maybe a supercard type thing, and then slowly build a promotion.
What I think is, if they did do this and they did set up a women's promotion, it would be a real shame for particularly Stardom, because they are the leading women's promotion in Japan, and they've produced the likes of
possibly in the world.
They've produced the likes of Hojo at the time, Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, Momo Watanabe is currently over there killing it. I've forgotten the name. There's another one as well that I forgot the name of.
Well, let's not forget as well that talents like Viper, Kaylee Ray, Bea Priestley, they've all gone through Stardom. Stardom has a lot of Toni Storm, obviously.
Mayu Iwatani. There's the one I was thinking of, but yes.
But Stardom also it takes in wrestlers from all around the world and exposes them to that audience, and they, in return, I guess, they learn a completely new style of wrestling. So it's sort of the classical go away and learn, but instead you're going somewhere to learn. Like,
it's an interesting one, but I guess it's, as you say, it's one of those things where we'll only really know if it happens once it's already taken place. And finally, one of the matches for the New Japan / Ring of Honor cross-promotional show at Madison Square Garden over WrestleMania weekend has been announced. So we already knew one, not by name, but we knew that the IWGP Heavyweight Champion at the time will face
Hanare.
Hanare, oh boy. No, will face the winner of the New Japan Cup, who could well be Hanare. Hanare's in it. Come on, Hanare. But that, we're kind of assuming that's probably going to be Jay White holding the belt at that point.
I'd imagine so. They've just put the belt on him, and I think it was put on him really quickly after Tokyo Dome.
Yes, it was too. That's true. But there's a lot of big contenders in the New Japan Cup, and another match has now been announced as well, but we do have some names in this match, actually. We do have some actual competitors in the match.
Break it to me.
It's a title versus title match, but
are the titles on the line?
I'm assuming not. But it's on one side you've got the IWGP Tag Team Champions, our boys, the GOD, and on the other side you've got the Briscoe brothers. So that could be quite a wild
our boys
match.
Versus them boys.
Them boys. No, I'm assuming the titles aren't on the line.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, because Ring of Honor have a working relationship with them. But it probably just will be an exhibition match. And, it sounds like it'll be absolutely insane.
Sounds a bit chaotic, doesn't it? Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they added maybe a stipulation of that one.
Yeah,
I'd
imagine so.
They don't deal in stipulations as much, but if they're in America...
No, and it's a joint promoted show,
Ring of Honor,
So.
But just going back briefly to the New Japan Cup, I was looking at some of the competitors in that tournament. It's a big 32-man tournament this year.
Yes.
There's a lot of people potentially you could. I think the favourite of the minute has to be Okada.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know what they're going to do if Okada doesn't do something soon.
Yes.
So
I think Okada. But
I'm starting to get nervous.
But you've also got Ibushi, who's recently just signed a new deal with New Japan. That could be a
and
big
Ibushi's
boost for him.
made a very big deal about how long he's going to be staying there.
Yes.
He wants to end his career there. So
absolutely. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he won either. He's facing Naito in the first round, though. Who's another front runner.
Naito, I could see happening as well. Though. I could really see Naito happening.
Who else is in there? Tanahashi, of course.
Yeah.
Could be getting the whole revenge thing, but I don't know. Last year's winner, Zack Sabre Jr.'s in there.
Right.
There's so many possible contenders. Ishii's in there, Sam. Maybe this is the year.
1-4-1.
Come on. Maybe this is he can do it. The big Stone Pitbull. It looks like it's going to be a really good tournament that starts in a few days, actually, early March. So,
yeah.
Pretty good.
Keep our eyes peeled on it.
So, yes, the two matches so far are GOD versus the Briscoes and the winner of the New Japan Cup versus presumably Jay White, but whoever the big champion is at that point. So that's it for the second news update of the day.
My God.
Thank you very much for watching.
Don't Shayna Baszler yourself.
I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. This has been Sam. You can follow us respectively on Twitter at JackTheJobber and at LesterFind. And on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. Thank you very much for watching. And don't forget, of course, if you haven't done so already, to hit subscribe and to join us.